Hey guys, it's Scott here, and today I'll be explaining how to get your first investment property. Buying your first property can feel both exciting and scary. It'll also change your financial future, but there are lots of questions you have to answer first. Questions like, what should you look for in a property? How can you tell a good investment out of the thousands of homes on the market? How much money do you need to get started? How do you keep up with the repayments without draining your bank account? And how do I keep getting your expert YouTube videos about property? Well, the last one is easy. Hit the like and subscribe buttons below to get more content like this. As for the rest, stick around and I'll walk you through every step to buying your first investment property the right way. Your initial deposit. This is the step before all other steps. Forgive me for being Captain Obvious here, but if you're investing in property, you need a deposit. How big of a deposit? Well, Australian lenders usually demand 10 to 20% deposit. So if you have your eye on a $500,000 property, for example, you're going to need to put $50,000 to $100,000 on the table first. In addition to your deposit, you have government taxes, insurances, and legal fees. There are 3 fees: LMI, stamp duty, and legal. First, let's discuss LMI, or lender's mortgage insurance. LMI is insurance that a lender takes out to insure themselves against the risk of you not paying your loan. The insurance does not protect you, it protects the bank. However, you need to pay the insurance on behalf of the bank. This is because the bank sees smaller deposits as being more risky than larger deposits. LMI is required when you have a deposit less than 20%. The smaller the deposit, the higher the LMI that you're going to pay. How much is LMI? Typically, LMI is about 2 to 3% of the purchase price on your property. So on a $500,000 property, this is 10 to 15 grand. Secondly, we have stamp duty. Stamp duty is a tax imposed by the state governments in Australia on the purchase of assets like property. On a $500,000 property, you should budget about 8 to 15 grand for stamp duty. However, there are waivers and discounts for first home buyers. It does vary from state to state, and it also varies on the type and the price of the property that you're buying. Finally, we have legal fees. Legal fees will be between $1,500 and $3,000, depending on the complexity of your contracts. You need a solicitor to check your contracts and also to process a sale on your behalf. Lastly, you will want to have the property inspected to ensure there are no problems with it. You should budget about $1,000 for a property inspection. Altogether, to be safe, you should budget between 15% and 23% of the purchase price, all fees inclusive. Okay, you have your deposit of 10 to 20%, plus you have between 3 and 5% for fees, taxes, and charges. You now need a loan to cover the remaining balance of between 80 to 90% of the property. You will need to consider the following 9 steps to make sure you can qualify for the loan. Credit rating. Reputation is everything in life, and it's no different when it comes to acquiring a loan from the bank. Your credit score is your financial reputation. You cannot invest in a property unless you have a strong financial reputation. In Australia, there are 3 credit reporting agencies that score you based on your financial reputation. First is Experian, they score you from 0 to 1,000. Next is Equifax, they score you from 0 to 1,200. And you also have Illion, they score you from 0 to 1,000 also. Here's a good rule of thumb on credit scores. 625 plus is considered good, 700 plus is very good, and 800 plus is excellent. The higher your score, the easier it's going to be to get a loan approved, and the stronger your borrowing power will be. Banks hate risk. They are as conservative as they come. So if you have a bad credit score, you need to spend a little time cleaning up your finances before you apply for your loan. To be honest, even if you have a good credit score, consider holding off until your score is very good. This is because banks also take better care of people with high credit scores. We're talking lower interest rates, lower monthly repayments, and more cash in your pocket across your investment journey. What do people with high credit scores look like? Well, they pay their bills on time, they don't have credit cards with huge limits, they only have 1 credit card, not 2, 3, or 4. They don't have many personal loans, especially buy now, pay later arrangements. So if that doesn't sound like you right now, do yourself a favor, consolidate your debts, cut up the credit cards, and start paying your bills on time, especially when you're about to apply for a loan. You want to keep debt and lines of credit attached to your name to an absolute minimum. Got any late collection notices? Is your name on any blacklists? Have you defaulted on any bills? Go back and either settle or dispute those debts until your name is clear. Take control of your financial reputation and your credit score will improve, making the rest of this process so much smoother. If you do want to know your credit score, you can view your rating for free once a year through Equifax. Tax returns. Okay, so your credit rating is looking stronger than The Rock after he's walked out of the gym on chest day. And you've got savings and or equity for the bank to take you seriously, but you're not ready yet. Now, you must get your tax returns in order. Any lender will need to see your last 2 years of tax returns or even more. Your tax return gives them the clearest idea of your earnings, your ability to service the loan, and is a strong indicator of how much money you'll get approved for. For example, let's say you file a tax return of $80,000 in 1 year and $100,000 a year after that. The average of these 2 years is $90,000. In the bank's eyes, this is your salary, and this is the number they will base your borrowing power on. On top of that, they'll ask to see 2 to 6 months of your bank account statements, so make sure your spending habits are reasonable. They want to see proof of employment, proof of income, and proof of any other liabilities or assets you have. Even stuff like gym memberships, banks will want to know. Make sure you have all of this ready to make the process as smooth as possible. Talk to a lender. Don't go straight to the fun looking for properties before speaking to a lender and knowing exactly where you stand. Too many times I've seen people start looking at properties before speaking to a lender. They spend hours online, going out and visiting homes, they go to multiple open houses, they get into the thrill of the hunt, and they call it research. I call it putting the cart before the horse, because what will happen is you will get your heart broken after falling in love with a place that is outside what you believe your price range is. Besides, what's the point in talking to a real estate agent and looking at properties if you don't have your money lined up? So let's get that done first. You need to get yourself to a lender and give them all the paperwork I talked about earlier. Tax returns, bank statements, pay slips, the lot. Doing this is important for 2 reasons. Number 1, you'll find out exactly what you can afford, and number 2, you can now be nimble in the market and have the power to negotiate. This is really important as the property market moves fast. If you've seen a property that ticks all the boxes, chances are there's 20 other investors thinking the exact same thing. In fact, in today's housing crisis with not enough housing out there could be hundreds of people looking at the same property. The old saying that money loves speed is very true in residential property. If you have your loan lined up and can confidently make an offer fast, you're going to get a better deal on the property you want. So once you've done all this, you can actually start looking at properties, and I mean really look at properties. When you're researching an area, you want to look at as many properties as possible to get a feel for where the market is really at. I've looked at tens of thousands of properties in my investment career, literally tens of thousands across the country. Now you don't need to go that far, but a good rule of thumb is between 30 to 40 properties. Once you start seeing more than 20 to 25 homes, you're going to know exactly why is the property priced the way that it is, what renovations are reasonable or not worth the time and money, how well something is priced, and the condition of the property. Now, other things to consider include things such as what is the supply and demand in the area, what is the population growth and the demographics, current and future infrastructure, which is happening in that location as well, what is the employment rate of the area to ensure tenants can afford to pay on time every week. So that's just a few things to consider that most investors overlook. The type of property. I get these types of questions all the time. Old versus new, house versus apartment. You have to remember you are buying this property as an investment. It's not something that you will personally live in. You may live in it for 6 to 12 months to get discounts on stamp duty. However, at some point you will move out and be looking for your ideal home. Seek out the property that will meet your investment goals, not your emotional or lifestyle needs. Houses or apartments can offer equally attractive returns, depending on the suburb and all those other factors I mentioned earlier. Older properties can be fantastic, however, be careful of unexpected maintenance costs and tenants choosing newer, higher quality properties over your older property. Make sure you pay for a qualified inspection because any issues with the property after you buy it will be 100% your responsibility. Newer properties often have better cash flow because they attract higher rents and also offer government tax deductions and incentives. You can also get a 6 to 7 year warranty on a new property. Newer properties can also attract higher quality tenants, but be careful that you do not overpay for a brand new property or get caught up in flashy marketing or sales hype. Cash flow. This is where the rubber hits the road for you as a property investor. The key to smart investing is cash flow. The last thing you want to be doing is living poor and sacrificing to make up the gap on your mortgage every month. You want your home to be cash flow positive or at least cash flow neutral. Now it's okay to be slightly cash flow negative if you're expecting high capital growth on the property, but you do not want that expense each month to negatively impact your lifestyle. I'm a big believer that investing should not actually hold you back. To figure this out, you need to take stock of your financials. How much cash are you putting down on this property? How big will the mortgage be? What is the interest rate? Will you go fixed or variable? On top of that, you have things like property tax, council rates, maybe you're getting a property manager, a gardener, maintenance, etc. So you will need to anticipate paying a few hundred extra per month on top of your mortgage. What you should know is that if you choose to buy a brand new property, you can get an additional $3,000 to $10,000 cash back every single year via your tax refund. This is because the government wants to incentivize building more brand new property to overcome Australia's current rental crisis. I've linked a calculator below so you can calculate the cash flow on your property. Your mortgage broker will also be able to help you work out your cash flow. Start making offers. At this point, if everything is lined up, your loan is approved, and you've got the right house in the right location, then it's time for step 6. Start making offers. I have 2 simple but quickly forgotten pieces of advice here. The first is don't get emotional. Think of yourself like the CEO of your life. This is a business deal, nothing more. 95% of your offers are going to be knocked back, and it'll be because you're not offering the right money. I know it's tempting, especially at an auction, to go for the win and overpay on the property. But that rush of winning is going to quickly fade, and you'll be left with a debt that's too big and a property where the cash flow is simply wrong for you. Always give a low but realistic first offer and see what happens. The worst that can happen is they say no. Then you can assess if the numbers will work for you. If they don't buy it, walk away. Take it from someone who's bought and sold dozens of properties for themselves and helped literally thousands of people buy homes. There'll always be another property to buy, another great deal is always just over the horizon. With that being said, and this is my second piece of advice, don't drive too hard a bargain. Some people love the idea of beating the other side. I think it's a poor tactic that just makes negotiations more tense, stressful, and sometimes nasty and awkward. The seller may decide not to sell to you specifically based on you lowballing them. If coming up with another 10 or 20 grand to offer on the property is going to get the deal done on a property that works perfectly for you, then just get the deal done. You'll be glad you did a few years down the line when that property has boomed in value and is sending you thousands of dollars each month. One last thing on offers. If you're inexperienced, consider paying a property expert with a background helping investors to guide you, or reach out to an experienced investor who can do all the work for you and show you the ropes. They'll know all the ins and outs of the contract, the best strategies to negotiate depending on the specific deal, and they're going to be able to help you tremendously if they are a good agent. If you decide to get help from a property expert or a buyer's agent, make sure they are experienced and have a proven track record of getting results. Property inspection. Congratulations, you've had an offer accepted and it's almost time to pop the champagne. However, you've got to protect yourself. Never make an offer without it being subject to a building inspection. This is just common sense. You wouldn't buy a second-hand car without making sure the brakes work, right? Well, don't go dropping $500,000 on a defective house. Once the keys are handed over, all repairs are coming out of your pocket. A professional, in-depth property inspection will uncover problems you would have never seen. Every single property, even the ones in amazing condition, will all have issues. As long as you are aware of them before you buy, you are able to make an educated investment decision. Once you've got the report from the inspection, figure out how much all the repairs will cost and ask the seller for a discount on the property. Now, if you're buying a brand new property, you won't typically have this issue. In fact, the property will come with a 6 or a 7-year warranty. Attract a tenant. Now that you have the keys to the place, time really is money. After all, no tenant means no cash flow. So make any of the minor cosmetic improvements that you may need to make the property attractive to a tenant. Get them done ASAP and make sure you log them with your accountant so you can claim depreciation. In fact, keep your accountant in the loop on every single cent you spend on the property so you can lower your tax bill as much as possible, and make sure you get a depreciation schedule made up too. If the house is ready for listing and open inspections, there's just one last thing to do. Get a professional photographer to take photos of the property. Tenants will always judge a book by its cover. If you have beautiful professional photos taken of your investment property, you'll get more clicks online. More clicks mean more people coming to your open, which means more competition, which means as long as you did your research and are in a high demand area, you can charge an above average rent. Having been involved in tens of thousands of listings myself, you wouldn't believe how many people cut corners and put up what are, frankly, crap photos of their property. You're also going to need a reputable property manager to filter out the good and the bad tenant applications and manage the property on a day-to-day basis. Again, some people choose to manage the property themselves, and that's their choice. But take it from someone who's both self-managed and also used property managers. You don't want to be the person getting the call early on a Sunday morning when the hot water system breaks down. Your time is too valuable. Also, should a tenant ever become late with a payment or difficult in any way, having a property manager is a buffer between you and them. It takes out all the emotion and the angst out of the situation for you. Remember, this is a business and you are the CEO. And any good CEO knows to outsource duties that they are not an expert in and doesn't deliver good ROI on their time. Personally, I always hire a professional property manager to do all of this for me, and I would recommend that you do the same. Rinse and repeat. Finally, we've reached step 9. But the truth is, this is not a step, it's a strategy. This is a recession-proof strategy that will set you up with a lifelong passive income within the next decade. Owning just one investment property is fine, but it will not set you up for financial freedom. If property is your ticket to freedom, you don't want to wait 20 to 30 years. You want it to be done in 10 to 15 years. And the way to do this is very simple. Everything I've shared with you today is a rinse and repeat strategy. So you don't just apply these steps to your first property, you apply them to property 2, 3, 4, and even 5 properties or even more. Don't be tempted to cash in when your property goes up in value 18 months from now. Smart investors rarely sell. They use the equity in their portfolio to unlock more wealth building opportunities. Here's a quick overview of how this works. Buy your first property the right way according to the steps I've outlined in this video. Wait 12 to 18 months for your property to deliver capital growth. Tap into your equity and buy your second and third property using the equity from property 1 as your deposit on property 2 and 3. Repeat steps 1 through to 3 so you can buy even more properties. Like I said, this is a rinse and repeat strategy. The cool thing is you're going to get better, smarter, and more profitable with every property you buy. Now, I've got more than a decade experience in this. I know this works. I've seen thousands of cases where people have done this, and I'm actually helping 6,500 people do this right now. The last thing I want to say in this, if you're a first-time investor, definitely try to get some advice or seek out an expert, someone you trust, someone that has results to give you some help. The problem is this, that if your first property is the wrong property, you may get stuck at one property. You may never be able to build a life of freedom. So definitely try to find an expert, someone that you trust to get advice. And a lot of that advice I'm going to be putting here in this channel. So please subscribe to my channel, watch all of my videos, and it will definitely help you to actually make the right moves when it comes to building out your property portfolio. I really hope this video has given you clarity and a roadmap for how to get into the property market the smart way. So take care guys, and good luck getting into your first investment property.